Hi, folks. Thanks for joining us. We're going to just give a minute for people to get logged on. I can see our guests are starting to be admitted to the meeting. We're gonna give it just a minute to make sure that folks are able to get on, and we'll get started here in just a moment. Okay, I can see there are quite a few of you on. I think we'll go ahead and get started just so that we have plenty of time to get through all of our information, and we will let people jump on as they're able to do so. Quick introductions. I'm really pleased everyone's able to join us so that we can talk about this Montana 64 Tiger Grant project. My name is Christine Fife, and I will guide us through this presentation. I'm with Big Sky Public Relations, and we assist with public involvement on many area projects just like this one. I'm this project's communications manager, and I will keep you informed and answer your questions throughout construction. It sounds like no one can see me, so I'm so sorry about that. Here's my camera. I apologize. Now you can see who's talking. Like I said, I am this project's communications manager, and I'm going to be here to answer your questions and keep you informed throughout construction. And I'm pleased to be joined today by our project team, and I'm going to have them introduce themselves. And I know we were having a little bit of some technical issues. I don't know if Jamie's able to introduce herself, but we'll turn it over to Jamie to introduce herself first. And if she's not able to do so, then we'll punt and jump to Kale.
I'm Kale Fisher with Riverside Contracting, project manager.
You want me to go ahead, Christine?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's go ahead, Danielle. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. This is Danielle Scharf. Hi, everyone. I'm a principal with Sanderson Stewart and the project manager for the design of the project. We will also be providing construction inspection and administration services for the project. So thanks for joining today.
Thanks, Danielle. Gino?
Good afternoon. My name is Gene Oliva. I am the Butte District Administrator for the Montana Department of Transportation.
Thank you. And Dave?
Hi there, I'm Dave Cunningham. I'm with the Montana Department of Transportation, and I am the District Construction Engineer.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I do want to say we have Jamie Gravinsky with us she's with Gallatin County, and I'm sorry that we're having technical issues. We're hoping that we can resolve that, but she is joining us, and she's playing a major part in this project because of the nature of this grant project and Gallatin County's role in securing those funds. So I just again want to thank everyone for coming, and I also want to introduce you to Katie Hodge. She's my colleague with Big Sky Public Relations, and she's going to be assisting with some technical logistics during the presentation. Katie, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, thanks, Christine. So if you have any questions throughout our presentation, the way that we can ensure that all of those get answered, especially with so many folks on the call, is to use our Q&A system. I'll ask that you use the Q&A that looks like 2 chat bubbles and not the chat system. We don't get the notifications as well as we do through the Q&A. So please use Q&A, type your questions in there, and then we will make sure that everything is queued up for the end of the presentation, and any remaining time that we have will be assessed by the project team and will help to go through that.
Thanks, Katie. So again, I'm Christine, and I just want to remind you that I will be your point of contact should you need to get a hold of someone during construction, and I will share my contact information at the end of the presentation, but please don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions following this meeting or anytime during construction. I also want to mention that I will be recording this presentation, and those recordings will go onto the project webpage after both of the meetings are completed. So within the next couple of days, you should be able to access those on the project webpage if you want to go back and review any of this information, or if you know of somebody who didn't get a chance to join us today and would like to view that. We are going to get started first with a discussion about grant funding, and Jamie was going to help us out with that, but I think I will turn it to Danielle to talk to us about the funding overview.
Thanks, Christine. And I see Jamie is on. Should we give her one more chance to see if she's able
Yes,
to get
please.
her audio? If not, I will definitely jump in. Okay. Well, just a quick overview in terms of the Tiger Grant funding. The Montana 64 project has been a collaboration between Gallatin County, Madison County, and the Montana Department of Transportation, as well as the Big Sky Resort Area District, who also provided matching funds for the project. Sanderson Stewart, as you heard, we were involved in the design of the project along with Staley and several other sub-consultants, and Riverside Contracting is the contractor who will be constructing the improvements. And all of this is being funded through a Tiger grant that was awarded to Gallatin County. And the grant award totaled $13.6 million and some change, a little over 13.6. And it will be used to fund this construction as well as other various county needs, such as new motor coaches and vans for Skyline Bus and the Skyline Van Pool program. A Tiger grant is a discretionary fund opportunity awarded through the Federal Highway Administration. And Tiger stands for Transportation Investment Generating Economic Recovery. This competitive grant program provides funding for transportation projects that improve existing conditions in the areas of safety, innovation, and opportunity. Gallatin County, Madison County, and the Big Sky Resort Area District all contributed additional matching funds for the project. So now I'm going to turn it over to Gino to give us an overview of some of the improvements that have already been completed.
Thanks, Danielle. This project includes multiple improvements for vehicles and pedestrians. Some improvements have already been completed. NDT upgraded the traffic signal at the US 191 intersection in the fall of 2021. Last summer, crews added a new left turn lane at the Powder Light subdivision, and utility relocations were completed in the spring. I'll turn things back over to Danielle to talk about funding improvements.
Thanks, Gino. So yeah, this summer we can expect quite a few more of the improvements to be constructed. And this map is a good kind of overall exhibit that shows all of the improvements on one map. The project area extends from the intersection of Montana 64 and US 191 all the way up to Big Sky Resort Road at the west end of the project. So I'll just quickly describe each of these project areas. I'm going to start at the west end with number 1 and work our way east. So number 1 includes a left turn lane and related improvements at Big Sky Resort Road. Number 2 to the east of that includes curve warning signage upgrades between Big Sky Resort Road and Andesite Road. Number 3 is left turn lanes at Andesite Road and Big Pine Drive. Number 4 is a paved shared use path that will be added along the south side of Highway 64 from Andesite to Big Pine Drive. Number 5 is a left turn lane and related improvements at Huntley Drive. Number 6 is a pedestrian bridge that will be added over the West Fork of the Gallatin River near the Big Sky Community Park. Number 7 is a paved shared use path that will be constructed along Little Coyote Road from the Big Sky Community Park to Highway 64. Number 8 is a new traffic signal and left and right turn lanes that will be added at the Little Coyote Road intersection, along with a left turn lane at Meadow Village Drive. And number 9 is a pedestrian tunnel that will be constructed under Highway 64, just west of Little Coyote Road. Number 10 is wildlife crossing signage upgrades and wildlife viewing areas or pullouts. So we have a place for vehicles to stop when the bighorn sheep are down on the highway. Those will both be in that area marked number 10, just west of the 191 intersection. And then similarly, number 11 down at the end, that is extension of existing curb and gutter near the intersection, and bus pullouts will also be added in this area. And now I will turn it over to Kale, and he's going to tell us more about the construction schedule and potential traffic impacts.
Thanks, Danielle. Right now, we're planning to start construction sometime the middle of May, later May. We'll just have to see what the weather does over the next 3 weeks as to whether or not it's conducive to start work. We're going to start construction at several project locations simultaneously. We're going to begin work with Little Coyote pedestrian bridge, and then we'll proceed with the shared use path between Andesite Road and Big Pine Drive, as well as the Little Coyote pedestrian tunnel. We then plan to start the left turn lanes at Andesite Road and Big Pine Drive. Work on these portions of the project will continue throughout the summer. The traffic signal installation at Little Coyote Road is expected to be underway about the middle of July. Updates to the US 191 intersection are currently scheduled from late July through September. Pathway construction at Little Coyote Road is anticipated to take place between late August through September. Construction of the left turn lane at Huntley Drive is also planned for late August and continue through September. The last area, or the last work area we'll be working at, is the left turn lane at Big Sky Resort Road. As of now, we're planning to complete most of the work this year, wrapping up in early November. But that again will be weather dependent on when we can actually start, and if we have an early winter. Then we'll be back in 24 to complete chip sealing activities and anything we possibly didn't get able to do this season. During construction, you can expect traffic control to be placed in the work zones between 6 a.m. and 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. We will occasionally work Saturdays if we lose days during the week to weather or other delays. During construction, you can expect up to 20-minute delays during peak travel times. Some single lane traffic will be required for short periods of time, but our goal is to try and maintain two-way traffic as much as possible to keep traffic flowing. The road surface conditions for traveling will be a combination of gravel and pavement. We will have to put up a couple detours that will be gravel when we put in the pedestrian tunnel. And again, with that detour and some of the single lane traffic that we'll have to implement, there will be width restrictions in place for the project. So I will send it over to Dave now to talk about Vision Zero.
Thank you, Cale. I just want to take a second to talk about Vision Zero. MDT's Vision Zero mission is the goal of 0 deaths and 0 serious injuries on Montana's roadways. Improvement projects like this one play a massive part in that goal. The MT64 Tiger Grant project is helping us meet this goal by providing improved turning options and ensuring traffic continues to flow efficiently through the area. Drivers can directly help to protect our crews during construction. Crews are often located just feet away from where the vehicles are driving through the construction areas. Drivers are encouraged to drive slow and avoid distracted driving and proceed carefully through the work zone area. And please remember that fines do double in the work zone areas. So with that, I will turn it back over to Christine.
Thanks, Dave. Big Sky Public Relations will be available throughout construction to address any questions or concerns that you may have. And you can always reach me by emailing me at christine@bigskypublicrelations.com, or you can call our project hotline. And the hotline is staffed Monday through Friday between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. If you're interested in receiving weekly construction updates, please email me, or you can text MT64project to 41411. And updated subscribers are often the first to know about urgent project information and impact changes. So I encourage you to sign up for those updates so that you can get that information. Those updates will go out every Friday morning. I also encourage you to visit our project webpage, and you can find that at bit.ly/MT64project. So you can learn more about the project and the improvements that we've discussed here today. And also our weekly updates will be added to that webpage every week as well. And for you radio listeners, those weekly updates will also be provided on KZMY and KBZM radio, as well as, I believe, KKQX. So tune into those to get those weekly updates via the radio. And if anyone would like to continue to review this information, I'll leave this screen up so that you can get down my contact information in case you need to be in touch. But I would like to transition to the Q&A session. So if you have a question about the project or anything that we can address on this meeting, please use the Q&A system to message us, and we will dedicate the remaining time to answering any questions that you may have. Katie, do we have any questions that we can get started with?
We do. Thanks, Christine. And actually, Christine, I'm going to throw this one directly to you. So somebody has asked if this slideshow will be shared after the call.
Yes, thank you. We will post the recordings of this meeting on the project webpage, and then we'll also be sharing the map that show the project improvements and our general schedule. Those will also be shown on the project webpage. You'll be able to access those after the meeting. It'll take us a couple of days to get those posted, but you should be able to access this information via the project webpage at any time.
Thanks, Christine. So we're seeing a few come in, which is great. Danielle, I'll tee this one up for you. So Tally has asked if you could tell us more about the potential changes to the entrance into Meadow Center from eastbound Highway 64.
From eastbound Highway 64. So is that the Meadow Village Center? I'm guessing is what she means to the east of Little Coyote. There will be, okay. So for eastbound traffic coming down the hill, there will be a left turn lane added there that will begin just past the Little Coyote intersection. So I think that will help with the kind of the close spacing between those two intersections. You will have a short turn lane to get out of the through lane to make a left turn into Meadow Village.
Great, thanks, Danielle. It looks like Tally said that that was indeed what they were looking for. So if there are any further
Okay.
questions, certainly let us know. But thank you. I think we've got that one fully addressed. So next, I'm going to move to Jim's question. And he's wondering who they might contact if there's a problem during the weekend. Danielle, I'll throw it to you to see if you have any ideas, and then maybe we can go from there.
Yeah, I think actually that's a really good question. I know I'm not really sure. Maybe Kale could help us with that question. I know the call line is only Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. So who would be the best point of contact, or maybe somebody from MDT may want to jump in on that one too, if there is an issue on the weekend.
Yeah, I guess I would redirect to MDT on that one.
Yeah, on this one here, we'd have to look up our TMC number, but typically anything that would be reportable or having issues would go through our TMC center, which is our call center, and then they would have an actual list that they would have to call out, which would probably have the project manager and probably Kale and his actually whoever his traffic control firm is on file up there for that.
Dave, is that information we might be able to put on the project website just to be sure people know they have a place they can go to find that number readily?
It's a good point. I was trying to find that as we speak, but I'm struggling right now. But yeah, we can post the TMC and the number so everybody would have that available to call.
Great, thank you.
Great. Thanks, everyone. That's helpful information. So next, Madison is wondering, Kale, I might just go directly to you on this one. If you could repeat your construction schedule for what time you'll be starting in the morning.
Yeah, for work, you can expect to see traffic control starting to get set up on the road each day by 6 a.m. And then it usually will work from 7 to 5, sometimes later in the summers, so we can get the most out of the daylight. But from a traffic control standpoint, we'll start impacting traffic. They'll be out there about an hour before we start up, and then it usually takes about an hour to get everything taken down after we're done working for the day.
Awesome. Thank you, Madison. If you have any further questions about that, let us know. So next, Danielle, I'll go to you, and then maybe have to go over to Kale. We'll see. Emily's question is, will the paved bike path remain open during construction?
I would say for the most part, yes, the existing pathway will remain open. There are some locations where there will be minor modifications to the existing pathway where we're connecting into it around the tunnel area in particular. And then I think across from Meadow Village as well, there's a little bit of a realignment of part of the pathway. So it's kind of, minor. So there will be pieces or times when segments of it are closed for the construction, but otherwise for the most part, it will remain open.
Perfect. Thanks, Danielle. All right, next question. So this is a question we get a lot. Danielle, I'll throw it to you first, but why, especially following up on Kale's comment of when they're working, why will crews be working during peak traffic hours and not working at night?
Yeah, I'll take a first run at this one and then I'll let Kale add to it. But I think the primary reason is just that we really have a pretty short construction season to work with as it is. And these guys have a lot of work to do up there, and they just really need to be working throughout the entire day in order to make the most of the season we have available. I know it's going to be challenging. It's going to be hard on everyone, but Riverside, these guys are good contractors. They're pros. They're going to have a lot of crews up there working really hard to try to get the work done as efficiently as possible. And it's really just not practical if they were to wait until 9 o'clock to start. Their days just end up so much shorter, and they have less time to get the work done. But and I don't think they considered nighttime work in this case, just because they don't have the manpower to do that, but Cale may wish to add to that.
No, I think you're correct there, Danielle. Night work, we're definitely not as efficient and productive. I think I'd have to go back and look. I know in a lot of our MDT contracts, when we're in areas with residential nearby, that it's a requirement that we're not allowed to work at night. So I think it's kind of a catch-22 on that. Yeah, we will impact traffic during the day, but we're letting people sleep at night. So
Thank you both. I think that's really helpful information to share. Next, we have a question from Bob. So Danielle, up to you first. He's wondering if there will be stoplights similar to the ones used when the bridges were repaired. He thought that the crews had done an excellent job controlling traffic patterns at that time. And I think that's more specifically for traffic control.
Yeah, I think so. And when they did the bridge work a couple of years ago, they had to close one lane of traffic at a time. So the stoplights were necessary for that purpose. If these guys were, going down to one lane for most of the work, they probably would do the same thing. But in this case, they're intending to maintain two-way traffic. So they won't necessarily be using those signals. Anytime they're going down to a single lane, it'll probably be a shorter duration. So they'll likely do it with flaggers in this case. But I think that's a good thing that they intend to maintain two-way traffic as much as possible, rather than using the stoplights to bring it down to one lane.
Great. Thanks, Danielle. Next, we have a question from Callie and wondering if we could post the project website address. So I put the screen back up. This is indeed the project website. The URL tends to be quite long if we don't use this bit.ly. So if you just type that in, you should be able to get exactly what you need. And if you've signed up for this, for our updates, that will also be included in all of Christine's weekly updates to redirect you to that URL as well. So if you have questions, certainly let us know, Callie, beyond that, and we can get more information to you. Next, Danielle, another one for you.
Oh, yep. Sorry, really quick. I just checked that. It looks like, because I think I heard Christine say bit.ly/MT64 project rather than bit.ly.com. Can you clarify that? Because that might be causing some confusion too.
Yes, you are correct. It should be bit.ly/MT64 project.
Thank you. We'll make sure that that's updated for this evening. Christine, I believe that you can, if you do type answer to Callie, you could put that into the chat so that she could have that to click on as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Danielle. I appreciate you jumping in there. So next question, are there any width restrictions that don't meet typical MDT standards for this project?
Yes, we are talking about implementing a 12-foot width restriction. We have been speaking with several of the contractors working in the area who will have deliveries requiring wider than that minimum, but we will work with those contractors as needed to get those deliveries through. But if we implement the width restriction, then and they are required to apply for permits anyway, then they will need to contact MDT and this contractor in order to coordinate those deliveries.
Perfect. Thank you, Danielle. Okay, next is from Tim. Do we have any estimated durations for one-way traffic dates? Should we anticipate this being similar to the 2019-2020 bridge work?
Yeah, and like I mentioned on that one earlier, the one-way traffic will be short durations. So we don't have specific dates or times for that at this time. It will not be like the bridge work. They will be maintaining two-way traffic most of the time, and then just short duration on the one-way traffic.
Thanks, Danielle. Okay, let's see. Next, we have a question from Kristen, wondering if the bike paths will still be functional for transportation during construction.
Yes, I believe they will be. Like I mentioned with that similar question earlier, I think there will be work around the bike paths where we're tying in, especially near the tunnel. But otherwise, the existing bike path should be functional during construction.
Great. Next question is from Will, wondering if this will be the final phase of the project, or should folks expect additional work in future year or years?
This will be the final phase of this Tiger Grant project. Like Cale mentioned when he talked about the schedule, they'll do most of the work this season. They will come back next season to wrap up at least the chip seal and final pavement markings, anything else that they can't get done this season. But otherwise, that should be the end of this project. Anything else that would be done in the future as additional work would be part of a separate future project.
Perfect. Thanks for that extra clarification, Danielle. So next we have a question from Bob saying, I know it's not written in the scope of project, but who do we contact to find out if road repair in front of the firehouse across the street from the resorts? I'm saying that there's a very dangerous situation. So we're just looking to provide comment on a project outside of our current project area.
I think that would be probably best answered by someone from MDT. Maybe Dave or Gino, do you want to weigh in on that one? Sounds like more of a maintenance item.
This is Dave. I'm not sure if this is actually on our system or if she's talking about something that's on the county system, but between the two of us, we can definitely have that discussion and see whose it is.
Okay, so Bob, I think my colleague Christine is sending you a message directly. Maybe we'll follow up with you offline and see what we can learn from you and get you connected with the right folks after this meeting. So thanks for bringing that up for us. Next is a follow-up from Tally from earlier. So Danielle, I'll put this to you. She's saying my feedback on Meadow Center turn lane addition is that turn lanes are difficult to see in the winter. At one point during these discussions, oops, that just moved on me, I apologize. At one point during these discussions, we were considering closing all eastbound incoming traffic with a hammerhead. Is that off the table? Danielle, can I throw that to you?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, we did have several discussions early in the design process about alternatives for this area. And we met with a few different groups about that. But at the time, the input was that the preference was to keep that open to traffic from both directions. And because we were able to fit a left turn lane in there, we felt that would be best in terms of maintaining the existing level of access, but also improving safety by adding the left turn lane. So that was ultimately the preferred alternative as we were working through that design process.
Okay, thanks Danielle and Tally. If there's anything more, please let us know. So we have another question and a comment from an anonymous attendee saying that emergency services who travel from town center to Highway 191 do so frequently, and wondering how traffic control will handle this when working on the Meadow Village tunnel and turnarounds. Danielle?
Yeah, so if they're coming through, especially with a siren, the contractors will respond accordingly and help to get them through as efficiently as possible. When they're installing the tunnel, they will have detour routes in place. So those vehicles would have to use the detour route. But the contractors will respond accordingly and help them get through as quickly as possible. And Cale, can feel free to add to that if he would like.
Yeah, typically on highway projects, when we have traffic control set up, the flaggers on the project will recognize lights and sirens when they're coming, and what they're instructed to do on the job is basically stop both lanes of traffic to get allow the responders through the work zone. But it does come into play where we rely on the traveling public to obey and move over to allow them through as well. So it's kind of it's a two-part effort between us and the people using the road.
Thanks, Gail. That's helpful. I'm going to loop a couple of questions together, some from Jim, Robin, and Tim. They're all related to traffic control and traffic flow. So one of the questions is just wondering if we can indeed handle the capacity of two-way traffic during morning and evening travel. And so with that, I'm also going to ask if we could repeat what the work hours are going to be and any plans for night work. And then I'll move into another question somewhat related.
And Kale, feel free to jump in again here. I do believe they will likely, any short-term single lane, they'll try to avoid those peak morning and afternoon timeframes. I don't know that I want to guarantee it. Maybe Kale will. We'll let Kale weigh in if he'd like to. But I think anytime they're doing just short-term lane closures, I'm sure it will be in their best interest to avoid those peak times. And then again, answering the question about work at night, no, that is not part of the plan for this project.
Yeah, I won't guarantee that it won't have single lane traffic during peak hours. It's just a function of trying to get the work done as best we can, but we are cognizant of it, and we'll try our best to accommodate not setting them up first thing in the morning to let people out. And then again, it just depends on how quick we can get the work done on as to when we can remove the single lane traffic.
Okay, thank you both. And then again, Danielle, would you mind talking about the load restrictions during detours in particular?
Yeah, at this time, we're talking about width restrictions only, not any load restrictions. And I'm not aware of a plan to implement any load restrictions.
Great, thank you. Just a couple of nice comments from folks saying that they're looking forward to doing what they can to get this all done, and especially in one season. So thanks for all that you're doing. Next was a question from Judy, wondering, Kale, if your crews might be able to shift their 5-day work days to include weekends to provide relief on 2 days during the week. So maybe I'll turn that to you to talk about how your schedules are organized and why.
Yeah, we actually, I think contractually, we're not allowed to work on Sundays. And then again, you know, we're a heavy highway contractor that works all over the state, so our guys are away from home. And we want to get done as much as we can, give them some travel time too, to go home and see their families on the weekends and spend some time with them. And then when they're, again, I do see us working Saturdays, but it would be more of a 6-day-a-week situation then. And again, it's just the more we can work, the more we can get done, and then the quicker we get done as well.
Thanks, Kale. All right, next question is from Kristen. So saying that Little Coyote is a two-lane street, and wondering if you'd be adding a right turn lane at the intersection so that cars turning right can now move through the stopped cars. So Danielle, will you talk about that configuration a little bit?
Yes, definitely. Yes, the intersection improvements at Little Coyote will now include separate left and right turn lanes off of Little Coyote. So with the installation of the signal, if there is a vehicle stopped waiting to turn left at the signal, the right turn vehicles can still make that right turn movement in their own lane.
Awesome. Thanks, Danielle. That's great. Next is a question from Jim. Wondering if we could go back to talking about the pedestrian tunnel. So when is that scheduled, and do we have an estimation of how long that time will take?
Kale, I'll let you take that one if you don't mind.
Yeah, so the work on the pedestrian tunnel is one of the first things we plan on getting started on when we do get to go to work towards the end of May, first part of June. We've got roughly 4 to 6 weeks to do all the work there for just the pedestrian tunnel. And then the tie-ins, the rest of the path through there, it'll take the rest of the season to get that done. I guess if it's a question of when it's going to be in use, I would say it would be after we pave everything, and we're planning on getting everything ready to pave and then just pave all the locations at once at the end of the season. So I think from a usable standpoint, it would be maybe late this fall, depending on weather, and then next season it would be fully functional.
Perfect. Thanks, Kel. That's helpful context. So next is a question from Katie, wondering if there are any detours planned on Two Moons and or Little Coyote. When and if there are not detours, will there be any restrictions or traffic control to mitigate people informally detouring on Two Moons and or that same route on Little Coyote? Danielle?
No, we have reviewed the traffic control plans, and there are not any official detours planned on Two Moons or Little Coyote. I am also not aware of anything that we would do to prevent people from using that as an informal detour route. I think we could certainly monitor it, and if it becomes a problem, we could talk about a way that we may be able to help address that. But at this time, we are not planning anything formal along those lines.
Okay, thank you, Danielle. Next, there's a question if there are any travel lane width restrictions associated with the project.
Yes, we are planning to request through MDT that we implement a lane width restriction of 12 feet. But I know we've spoken with you and several others about a need to get wider loads through the project area, and that will be acceptable. We can make arrangements to do that. But the reason why they want to implement the width restriction is so that they have advance notice of when those loads are coming, so that they don't just show up and need to get through without any advance notice. So it's really more providing a level of coordination so Riverside can plan accordingly.
Okay, thank you, Danielle. Next is a question from Marjorie, wondering if you'll be resurfacing the entire road and fixing the potholes.
We will be resurfacing the entire road within the individual project areas. So wherever we're doing the widening, we will also be doing a kind of a final chip seal over the top of it. So that will address some of the surfacing issues. As long as it's within the areas we'll be widening, they won't actually be resurfacing the highway in between those work areas though. So if there is an issue, it might be best to reach out to MDT to let them know. I imagine their maintenance crews will be monitoring those as well.
Great, thanks, Danielle. Okay, next is a question from Denise, wondering with the additional stoplight, do we anticipate lowering the speed limit along 64?
At this time, as part of this project, we are not lowering the speed limit. That is something that MDT could come back and evaluate later on. Certainly with the implementation of the stoplight, vehicles will be slowing down through that area. So it's possible they could come back and reassess whether or not the speed limit should be lowered after it's installed, but it will not be done as part of this project.
Okay, thank you, Danielle. Next, is there a place where we might be able to find out more if there's work planned on 191 during the same time frame that could affect traffic?
That's a good question for someone from MDT. Dave or Gino, would you like to weigh in on that one?
Yeah, at this time, during the time of that construction, there is nothing as far as construction going on that. I'd have to discuss with maintenance. I don't believe maintenance has anything going on that route either at this time.
Hey, Dave, this is Cale. Maintenance does have a chip seal project on 191 south of the intersection of 191 and 64. That'll
Okay,
be on sometime this year, but other than that, that's the only thing I know of.
okay, thank you.
But that's to the south of 64, Cale? Is that what you said?
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah, south of the junction of 64 and 191.
okay, good, thank you.
Thank you both. And that brings up a good point that in those weekly updates that Christine will be sending, if we're aware of other projects that are going on in the area, we'll be sure to let you know so that we can try to coordinate those efforts as much as possible and keep you well informed. So next is a question for you, Danielle from Jenny, wondering if there are any plans to cut down the traffic that will likely use any of the detour routes that we had talked about along 64. So could you just reiterate how all of that's going to be planned out throughout this project?
Yeah, at this point, we are not planning anything specific to address that. Like I said before, we aren't planning to use it as an official detour route or anything like that. But if it does get to be a problem, I think we could talk about ways that we might be able to help address that.
Thank you. Okay, let's see what else is next. So regarding the pedestrian tunnel that we were just talking about a few minutes ago, is this planning on being open in the winter? And if so, will it have drainage and snow removal, and will wildlife have the same access?
Yeah, good questions. It will be open in winter. With this project, the Big Sky Community Organization has agreed to provide the maintenance and snow removal. There is drainage within the tunnel, so anything that any stormwater that flows down in there or snow that melts down in there, there is a drainage system to allow that water to outflow and not pond up in the tunnel. And like I said, BSCO will provide the snow removal. As far as wildlife, there won't be anything prohibiting them from using the tunnel, but nothing encouraging them or directing them towards the tunnel either. I mean, it really is meant for bike and pedestrian usage as opposed to an official wildlife tunnel. So I hope that addresses the question.
Thank you, Danielle. One last question that I'm seeing is somewhat of a follow-up from Katie from earlier. So she's basically saying, so that these roads have blind curbs and are heavily used by pedestrians and bikers, but there are not bike lanes or sidewalks. So she's wondering if there's additional speed limit alert signage like the flashing your speed signs that might be added. And she's advocating that those would be really helpful in this area.
We don't have any of those types of signs planned with this project. We are looking to help improve conditions for bikes and pedestrians by adding additional pathways, by adding the tunnel and by adding the bridge. Even at the intersection, the signalized intersection of Little Coyote, you could even cross at grade, where you will be crossing with a red light with a walk indication. In addition to the option to use the tunnel. And then like we mentioned, we're adding additional pathways from Big Pine to Andesite along the south side of the highway. And then also along Little Coyote north of the highway. So overall, quite a few improvements that will help bikes and pedestrians, but we are not adding bike lanes or additional sidewalks, but those pathways are meant for both pedestrians and bicycles.
Okay, thank you, Danielle. And Katie followed up just to say that she meant Two Moons and Little Coyote if more related to an informal detour traffic.
Okay. For the question about bikes and pedestrians?
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay, yeah, so we are adding the pathway along Little Coyote that will extend from Highway 64 up to the Big Sky Community Park. We aren't adding additional bike and pedestrian improvements along the rest of Little Coyote or Two Moons, though. It'll just be that stretch that I mentioned. Anything else would need to be a separate project in the future.
Okay. Katie, I see your comment come through. I'm put this screen back on, which has our contact information. If you would follow up with my colleague Christine here, we can set some time with you directly to make sure that we're better understanding your question and can go through any additional details or comments that you might have. We want to make sure that we can really get all of that nailed out for you. Next, Danielle, is a question from Suzanne, wondering if the Big Sky Resort Road will be closed or restricted during the left turn lane construction of the project.
Probably not. I mean, they will be widening on either side of Highway 64. They will be building, you know, a little bit of a radius around Big Sky Resort Road. There shouldn't really be a need to fully close off Big Sky Resort Road. If they do, it will probably be more on kind of a short-term basis as they're doing that construction around the intersection.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you, Danielle. I have one last question here from Bud, wondering if we would be able to provide the contact information for the person who you might need to coordinate with for the transport of loads that are wider than 12 feet. So does anybody know who the best point of contact there would be?
Yeah, Bud, you have my email address. We've exchanged emails. I think I connected you with Kale at one point too, and I'm happy to do that again. We can continue the conversation, Bud, and then certainly with the width restrictions and the permit requirements, I think through that avenue you will also get in touch with Kale to coordinate those deliveries. And Kale, you can weigh in if there's anything else you have to add to that.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. I've got your emails, and yeah, I think when you guys get your permits through MDT for oversize, just a function of coordinating when you're bringing them in so we can get them done at certain times of day. And, you know, preferably not when we're doing tunnel work, but we can get into that offline. You can give me a call anytime if you want to discuss it.
I would just add that anyone else that has similar questions can always feel free to reach out to me, and I can connect you to the folks that you would need to discuss any of those with restrictions or special loads that need to get through.
Thank you. So Christine, I'm not seeing any additional comments or questions at this time, so I'll turn it back over to you.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you for all of your great questions, everyone. We are just about at our 1 hour mark. So I want to thank you all for taking time to attend today and ask your questions. Again, my apologies for the mix up with the project website. Again, the website is bit.ly/MT64project. And there is another workaround for that. If you can't find the project webpage, you can always go to the Montana Department of Transportation website and go to active projects, and it's listed under the Butte District. You can find our project information that way as well. Again, just a reminder, if you would like to sign up for weekly construction updates, you can do that either by emailing me or by texting MT64 project to 41411. Again, please don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions. You can feel free to reach me by email or to call the project hotline. If there are questions once we've wrapped up this meeting, I'm happy to help throughout construction. Again, thank you everyone for attending this virtual open house, and we look forward to working with this community to accomplish this work. So thank you everyone, and have a great afternoon.